Welcome back to Wives Getting Lives, the podcast where we talk about life beyond being a wife. Allie, you want to take it from there?
So today we will be having an interview with Plushies by Paige from Plushies by Paige.
There you go.
And she's going to be discussing the art of crochet with us. It's an amazing hobby, and she will be helping us learn a little more about it. So Paige, how did you initially get into crochet?
Yeah, I first started crochet whenever I was 7. My mom actually taught me, and kind of to back up a little bit, I've been into art my whole life, just like the other two that you've already interviewed as well. And I remember whenever I was little, my mom was crocheting on the couch. I was just sitting there and I was staring at her, and I was just fascinated by what she was doing. I'm like, "What are you doing, Mama?" She's like, "It's called crocheting." I'm like, "Well, I want to learn." And so, 7 years old, I started sitting next to her and learning how to crochet. It was kind of difficult because I'm actually left-handed, and then my mom is actually right-handed. And so learning how to crochet was a little bit difficult to try and start because of just how we hold the hook and how we do things would be going the opposite way. And so we had to just take turns of I would sit next to her to see how she was doing it, and then I would sit in front of her so that way our hook would go the same way so I could see how my hook was actually supposed to go.
Oh, interesting. I
That
never
is
thought
so
about
awesome that she was able to teach you that. It's such a valuable skill, especially today. Like you could make all sorts of items.
And a good way to spend time with each other.
You've really leaned into creating plushies though. How did you get on that path?
Yeah, honestly through TikTok. I never thought about making stuffed animals before. I usually just made cardigans and shawls and stuff like that, and little scarves and stuff. And then just scrolling through TikTok, I saw people were actually making stuffed animals. I was like, that is so cool. And so I started actually going on YouTube because the making of stuffed animals is actually called amigurumi. That's the type of crochet that you do for stuffed animals. And so I went on YouTube and typed how to start amigurumi, and I followed some YouTube patterns.
YouTube
cool.
is
It's so
such a
useful.
valuable resource. You can learn so much just by YouTubing it.
Yes, it's very, very interesting.
So, are there any supplies that you would recommend for someone who's getting into crochet?
Yes, so I have a few different hooks here. So, and what I also wanted to kind of teach on and kind of bring up is there's all kind of different hooks, hook sizes, and yarn sizes. So these are the average ones that you will see in just, your basic Walmart, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and they're just the full metal crochet hooks. But then you see they're all different sizes depending on what size yarn that you need. So I recommend just getting a value pack of all the different sizes to start off with. And then, but these, I do notice for me anyway, since I crochet a lot, since these are so skinny, they kind of hurt your hand after a while for me personally. And so then I found ones that have silicone grips on them. So that way there's a little bit more of a grip that you can have on for your hand so it's not as tight. And so
those definitely looked more ergonomic.
Yes. And then you also have, this is one of my special hooks that I like. You also have ones
Oh, wow.
I've that people make out of wood as well. And so it's even more so to where it's easier on your hand. And now for yarn, for people just starting off, I just recommend just going to Walmart and just getting your everyday. This is one of the most famous ones. It's the Red Heart
Red Heart.
Super Saver.
Mhm.
Yes.
That is what popped into my mind, and I've
Right.
never even crocheted. I've
I
wanted to,
have.
I've thought about it, but I've never actually done it. It looks so hard.
I did it in home ec, and I don't remember how.
I
If I
sewed
stop doing something, the memory of how to do it, phew, gone.
I sewed shorts and a pillowcase in home ec. I wish they would have taught me crochet.
Yeah, what we learned in home ec was how to make an omelet and how to sew together a gym bag. So yes, I really wish that they would have dabbled into more of crochet, but Red Heart really is more on the cheap side. So if you just want to find a color that you like just to practice, and there's a lot of yardage in just your basic regular acrylic
Mhm.
yarn. And so you can practice and practice and practice on one skein of yarn and it can last you a long time.
So
So
what's the first stitch you would learn? Is that what it would be called?
yes, it's called, so the first thing that you have to do is you would have to chain. I usually tell people that are starting off that want to learn, just start off by making a square. So you would just chain however many and then work your way up. And
Okay.
the basic stitch is called a single crochet.
Hmm.
It can get very complex though.
Yes, it can get very complex. So your basics are your chain, single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, triple crochet. There's bobble stitches.
Oh
There's
goodness.
yes,
So many.
yes,
Oh,
there's
there's even more than that. There's like seashell stitches. Like I did some research trying to prepare for this, so I didn't seem completely dense on the subject. And
Oh, I
oh
came
my
in
gosh,
completely
oh,
unprepared.
I looked at a pattern and I couldn't even figure out how to read it. Like,
yeah.
is there a class to teach you how to learn how to read patterns? Because
Right.
how did you learn?
My mom, a lot of the really, really good patterns, I will say, will have at the top of the pattern will say, so single crochet is SC, and it will have like a little guide on this is the acronyms and this is what they mean. And so then after you learn what the acronyms are, it's a little bit more easier to figure out what the pattern is saying. For me, whenever I also was trying to learn how to really read more difficult patterns, starting with amigurumi, I on YouTube, I found videos that had the acronyms, and I would also watch what those acronyms meant. So single crochet and increases, decreases, I would watch them and figure out how to do those on the video that also said what they were doing.
So
Okay.
I wonder, is making the amigurumi harder than doing a different sort of project like a shawl or a cardigan?
Good question.
It can be. So amigurumi, I have one right here. So this is one of my little
Oh, that's
dinosaurs.
adorable.
Thank you. This is
Love
my
it.
dinosaurs. And your basic stitches, all of these that you see right here, those are all single crochet stitches. And so all you're doing is just going around in a circle of single crochet. There's never
Okay.
really a whole lot of difficult stitches. You just have to know how to first work in a circle, and then you have to know how many increases in single crochets in each round of that circle you have to do in order to make this, because all this is just circles basically.
Oh,
Are the circles harder than doing the line stitches, the chains?
yeah.
Not really, because it all just works into itself, and so, but I feel like you would still have to know how to do a square and your basic stitches before moving on to working in a circle, because it can be a little bit harder in the beginning to learn what a magic ring is. That's like the very, very start middle point of your circle. Let me see if I can find. So this is his foot. So this circle right here is your first circle, and that's your magic ring. And you put however many stitches in that magic ring to then work your way up and out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you started that project at his foot and worked out, or is it more of a piece by piece sort of thing?
It's
You
kind
do
of
some pieces and then patch the other ones on?
it's kind of a piece by piece. So this one specifically, you make one foot and then you stop and you cut the yarn off, and then you make the other foot, and then you go around in the circle around both feet and then work your way up, and then you do its head.
Huh.
And then you make its arms and sew those on, and you make his nose and sew that on, along with his tail and all his spikes.
Okay, so it's a less complicated than we were thinking.
Yes, yeah. It looks a very
It looks very
Very-
complicated.
it looks very scary and very complicated, but it's really
Mhm.
not that complicated at all.
Yeah, it's very intimidating when you think about trying to make something like that, especially since it looks so detailed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So aside from YouTube, are there any other places that you find your patterns?
Etsy. I follow a lot of crocheters on TikTok and a lot of crocheters on like Instagram and Facebook, and they all have their own patterns. And so I will go and buy their patterns on Etsy. But if you don't want to do all of that, you also can find free patterns on like Pinterest
Mm.
or just like Google searching. Depending on the pattern, you can find pretty good free patterns.
Pinterest
That's
has
awesome.
always been my friend. I love Pinterest. I
Mhm.
use it for everything I do, cooking,
Use a lot
any of
Pinterest.
my little crafts I do. I always use Pinterest. My party ideas, Pinterest.
Yep.
Pinterest is great.
I'm
So,
going-
what is your favorite plushie to make? What was your favorite one so far?
My favorite one, I'm going to do a trigger warning just in case anyone's scared of clowns. But I will say my favorite one so far has been this big boy.
That's
Oh my
creepy.
gosh.
He has definitely been one of my favorites I've made so far.
I love him.
I'm kind of creeped out a little bit.
I think
Yeah.
he's super cool.
It's cute. It's still cute.
Thank you. He takes a lot of work, but he is definitely one of my favorites, I will say.
How long did a project like him take you?
Quite a few hours. So on one day I did his whole body, and then the next day I did all the small little details like the little frills on his pants and his arms, his facial features, and it took me a couple of hours to add in all of his hair. So
Mm.
if I were to work on him non-stop, he would still probably take me about 6 hours to
Oh wow.
complete. Yeah. He
Still
takes
very time
about,
consuming.
That's almost a full day's work.
Hmm.
yeah. Yes.
Turned out really good though.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And another one of my favorites is, and it's not really a plushie, but another one of my favorites is this is one of my cardigans.
Oh, I love the
Oh,
colors.
that's very pretty. Yeah, I like those. Like greens, purples.
Yeah.
Very earthy.
Hmm.
I like it.
Very my style.
I had a question to ask, but I'm like blanking on it, and I feel like it was a good one.
Girl, I'm not in your brain. I have no clue. Okay,
That's good.
I don't have a good one, but I'll try.
So what I also wanted to kind of talk about was the different sizes of yarn along with the different sizes of hooks. So you have your basic, what we call 4-weight acrylic that we talked about earlier with the Red Heart Super Saver. But there's also for plushies, what I like to use. I ordered this online from Premier.com. This is one of my favorite brands. It's called Parfait Chunky, and it is, let's see, it is a super bulky 6. So if you ever get confused on what size hook that you need, depending on what size yarn that you have, they do have a guide that's always on the yarn itself on its paper. This recommends a size 8mm hook for this size of yarn. But what I always tell people is my tension, the way I hold my hook and the way I hold my yarn can be different than how you hold your hook and how you hold your yarn. So even though it says to use an 8mm, that might be too big for me. I'll have a lot of holes and gaps in what I make. So I might have to go down a size or two. And that 8mm might be too tight for you, depending on how tight you pull your yarn. So
I never even knew that was on there.
Is it better to use more tension, or does it really vary based on the person?
it does vary based on person and based on what you're trying to make. So for a cardigan, I want it to be loose and flowy. So I use a bigger hook for the smaller yarn and looser tension, so that way it can be more flowy and loose. But with making amigurumi and stuffed animals, you do want it to be tighter, so that way when you're stuffing it with your polyfill, you don't have all those gaps and all those holes where you can see all the fluff and stuff, and the fluff's not coming out. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I never knew any of that.
What was I gonna say?
Girl, again, you didn't say it out loud, so I don't know.
Oh
I'm
my
not
gosh,
a mind reader.
it's bothering me now because like I knew what it was and then it was just gone. Gone. I felt like it was
Every time I
I
talk, your brain
I
goes
have all of
red.
my questions wrote down in my phone,
And
but
your
I can't
phone's
use
over
my
there.
phone.
right.
So here we are. I promise I prepared for this, but like in the moment when it happens, I'm just reminded how ill prepared I always am.
Me too. That's
Like, dude, we do troubleshooting and practices and
we do. And
still blow it.
still blow it. Well, maybe that's our talent. We're really good at sucking.
Give me a good question, Paige. Help me.
Another yarn that I like to use. So the clown that I just showed, he was also made by this brand right here. And so this is a super bulky, it says it's a super bulky 6. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to yarn. This says that it's a super bulky 6, and this says that it's a super bulky 6.
Oh, but they're totally different.
Totally different.
They're totally different. This is a lot bigger than this is. So I would just also be careful whenever people are looking for yarn sizes, even though that the labels can help, they can also kind of be deceiving. So just it's a lot of trial and error with really going through what you know about sizes as well. So
Yeah, it seems like there could be a lot of variation between brands, and that could be very
Mhm.
confusing.
Just
mhm.
like with clothes.
Yeah, of course they would add that razzle
Mhm.
dazzle when you're trying to make clothes.
Right. Let's
Yep.
make it more difficult for you. Good luck.
So from my experiences, I would say that this is a 6, but I would say that this is actually more like a 7 or an 8.
Okay, that's good information.
And that's just going to come with experience and
Mhm.
time and working with the medium and understanding the
Yeah.
different sizes. So,
And you'll learn what works for you best and what sizes are actually the sizes you want and need to use. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that would vary a lot between
Mhm.
projects as well.
Yeah. So are
And
there any other things you like to make?
let's see. I do make a lot of smaller things. I've also made some keychains. I don't have a keychain on it right now, but
I love it.
It's
I
a
have a little,
turtle.
I have a little turtle.
I like the turtle. That's my favorite.
I make little mini octopus
Oh, that is so
Yes.
cute.
and a little mini bee.
Oh, the bee might be my favorite now. That is so cute.
I don't have eyes on this one as well, but this is one of my ones that
An
I made
elephant.
with that super bulky yarn that I showed y'all earlier.
Is that an elephant?
You said an elephant. I
I
feel
did.
like I'm seeing like
Is it a
Yoda
sheep?
or Dobby.
It's Yoda.
Oh, I was so off. I said an elephant. What the mess?
I
It
mean,
was
it looks like
great.
it could be an
My
elephant, like
bad.
maybe missing its trunk.
Yeah, it had trauma
I
in
could
its
see
life.
And I've also done
A mermaid.
a Little
Oh,
Mermaid.
look, I got that one right.
Yes. So, but I will say for people that want to start amigurumi, you don't have to start with the plush yarn. If you want to, besides ordering it from online, if you want to just try it out, start it and see if you like it, Hobby Lobby does have a good brand, and it's this brand right here. It's more of a
My
velvet.
daughters use that.
Yes, it's more of a
Yeah.
velvet.
So is this more plushy, fibrous material harder to work with than the basic red heart yarn?
It all depends on your experience. So at first it can be because it's a little bit thicker. You have to kind of adjust, like we talked about, your hook size, your tension. But once you really get the hang of it and you can see how the stitches look in a plush yarn, it's really no different. But you can also do amigurumi with the acrylic yarn as well, and I'm gonna kind of make fun of myself. This is the first thing I've ever made whenever I first started doing amigurumi, and it looks terrible now. Now that I really look at it, this is the first bee
Oh,
I've
that's
ever
still cute.
made with acrylic yarn, and it's I did not stuff it nearly enough. There's holes all in it. The eyes are the wrong size. The wings look just bad. So you have to start somewhere, and that's what I wanted to show this for. You have to start somewhere. Your first project is never ever going to be the best thing. It's probably going to look scary, but you have to
I don't
start
even see
somewhere.
the flaws she sees. I think it's still adorable.
It's to someone who doesn't know, it's still really cute. It looks really good.
Well, thank you. I was so proud of this whenever I first started it. I was super proud, and now looking at it after making something like this and going back and looking at this, I'm like, oh, this is so scary.
So if you had to give an estimate, how many projects have you done?
Does that also count cardigans and shawls?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, goodness. I first started doing this to try to sell at markets about 2 years ago. And I would say, along with all of the minis, all of my cardigans, I want to say I've made probably like 400 things.
Oh my,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That is a lot. That is
No wonder
awesome.
you're so good.
Thank you.
But
Practice.
doing it so
Yeah,
long.
we're
Yeah.
a long way off from being able to get there to them. We better start soon if we want to be good.
I have
Gotta
the
start
basic
somewhere.
hook.
I mean, we probably should. I feel like we've got the supplies. Maybe we need to link up with Paige in a future episode and have her teach us like
Yeah,
a
that's a
basic
great
chain
idea.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might be it might work in our benefit that we're on video because doesn't it like flip it? Right?
I mean, I can show y'all how to, it might be a backwards since I have to show the camera this way, but I can show y'all how to at least start a chain and how to start working your way up if you want.
Oh, absolutely. Feel free.
All right, so this is, I just have basic acrylic yarn. So let me see, what hook do I want to use? I personally, I like an H 5mm hook. That's the hook that I like to use. So to start off, to start your chain, sorry, I'm getting situated. You have to do what's called a slip knot onto your hook. So you take your string or yarn, wrap it around, and you have to make a slip. So that way, if you pull it, it can just come undone. Make a slip. You put it on your hook and tighten it. So the way, there's also two ways to hold your hook. So I hold mine what's called the knife hold. That's what I call it, like you're holding a knife. There's also people that pencil grip. I can't pencil grip. My mom pencil grips, but I like to knife hold. And so once you have your yarn on your hook, it's all about making the hook part do the job for you, not you doing the job for the hook. So once you have your yarn on your hook, you're gonna wrap it around to where there's 2 loops on your hook. You're gonna take your hook, grab that first loop, and you're going to go in to the other one. You're gonna make a chain. And
Okay.
I am going to chain 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Wow, that fast.
9, 10, 11. And I'm trying to be slow too.
That would have taken me like way longer to just.
I know. I've been like,
yeah.
So another thing to remember when you're counting your stitches on anything that you're trying to make like a square, you always add 1 more. So if you want your square to be 10 stitches, you start your this is called a foundation chain. You start your foundation chain with 11 because at the end of each row, you have to chain 1 and you have to turn it.
Okay.
To start it. So I started with 11, so I'm gonna have 10 single crochets. And so I'm gonna flip it around to where it's right side for y'all. And so at the very top, you see these loops. These are what you're going to put your hook through in order to single crochet. So
Okay.
then I know it's so difficult. I'm sorry on camera. So you would insert your hook. I'll just put it that way. You would insert it to where there's then two loops. You would wrap around to where there's three, and you pull through one to where there's two, wrap around, and pull through two. And that is
okay.
and that's a single crochet.
Yeah.
That
So
seems doable.
Yeah, you made it seem pretty simple.
It would be a lot more simple if like you were sitting next to me or in front of me, but yes, you just go in, wrap around, pull through, wrap around, pull through two.
We're gonna have to practice this and catch up with her in a future episode.
Yes.
That would be really cool.
That's
if you're willing, that is.
Yeah, and then hopefully by that time I can have a tripod or something to where I can have the camera pointing down on my project.
I've actually got a decent budget-friendly recommendation if you're open to them.
Sure, yeah.
I got like a tripod with a ring light for like $30, and the legs are a little flimsy, but
it
worked
does
out
the
job.
Good.
Yeah.
And it has a good range of motion, like you could tilt it all the way down so it faces down towards the table and stuff.
Yep. So after you do all your 10 single crochet, this is what it starts to look like.
Oh wow.
Cute. Yes, a little line.
A solid chain.
Yeah. And then you just chain one, you turn it, and then you work back down, you chain one and turn, work back down, and you just keep going.
Continue.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Paige, I know you're going to be setting up your Etsy shop. Do you have any idea when your drop will be?
Well, my birthday is actually this Saturday, and so I was hoping to have enough for a listing on there to drop this Saturday, the 19th, for my birthday.
Oh wow!
Well, happy birthday!
Would be amazing. But why are you working for your birthday, Paige? You need to do something for yourself too, sis.
Yes. But this is what I love to do. Yeah.
It is. And you are so amazing at it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and share your love for this craft and teach us a bit more about it.
No problem. Thank y'all for having me and listening to my rant and rave about yarn and hooks.
Oh no, man.
We loved it.
It's really been interesting, and I loved seeing all of the creations you've made with your own two hands. Like, I know, that's unbelievable what you're able to do.
Yes, that's what I love about it the most, because like Laura, correct? The one that y'all just had.
Lauren.
Yeah.
Lauren, sorry. I did the whole resin thing. I used to do tumblers. I've painted so many things. Ever since I could hold pen to paper, I've been drawing, painting since I was little. And what I love most about it is seeing other people love my stuff. And so I love, especially little kids, I love whenever I have markets and I see little kids get so excited and they come up and they just love the little stuffed animals, and I love it. That's my favorite.
I bet it would be. That would be amazing to be able to get that sort of appreciation.
I know. It would be. Well, guys, I think we are going to wrap it up. We've had a great episode with our friend Paige, and we hope you come back soon.
Yeah, we definitely
definitely want to
schedule
do
something in the
more.
future
Yeah.
where we learn a little something more, and maybe we will work on our chain. And after we get our chain down, we'll come back to
I think
the
that's
next
a
step.
great idea.
Yes, learn your chains, learn your hook sizes, your yarn sizes that work for you, and work on your single crochets. And I will definitely be back to help y'all more with more difficult stitches.
Thank you.
All right.
I look forward to it. I hope
Me
you have a
too.
good day.